Hi, I'm Etienne Fletcher, and I'm thrilled to invite you to listen to our concert Tout pour la musique, broadcasting from Winnipeg across Canada. Join me and celebrate the Saint Jean-Baptiste Day with incredible performances from francophone artists like Lisa Leblanc, Beau Nectar, Yao, Jérémy Brémont, and André Naturenne. These amazing artists from across Canada will be on stage putting on an unforgettable show. Whether you're at home, with friends, or on the go, tune in. Tout pour la musique hits your radios at the end of June. Don't miss it and enjoy the show.
The Tout pour la musique concert will be on Radio Waterloo, CKMS FM 102.7 on Sunday, the 30th of June at 5 p.m.
Hi, I'm Andrew Wood from Kitchener. You are listening to CKMS 102.7. Stream us anytime at radiowaterloo.ca.
Attention, women in science, technology, engineering, and math. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting on your journey, the Society for Canadian Women in Science and Technology is here to support you every step of the way. From mentorship programs to networking and skill-building events, we've got the tools and resources you need to succeed and thrive in STEM. Visit squist.ca to learn more. That's scwist.ca. We can't wait to connect with you.
You're listening to CKMS 102.7 FM radio, and that was Wake Up and Rise by Diggin' Roots. We are here with Two White Feather as me and Lori Gentle Eagle at this on the Red Road journey, where we aim to amplify Indigenous voices to heal ourselves, all our relations, our communities, and our planet. We are broadcasting you from the traditional territories of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples. Hook ya! Our stop along the Red Road journey this afternoon was postponed from April 28th until now because duty called, so to speak, for this activist, speaker, filmmaker, singer, songwriter, model, and most importantly, a mom. And the list goes on. I met this Mohawk woman while biking out to the Woodland Cultural Center, aka the Mohawk Residential Institute, on Orange Shirt Day years ago in Brantford. She sat outside and waited for me. for my arrival. We shared stories and took some pictures. I'm talking about Layla Staats here. I am so grateful we came across paths and we feel truly blessed to have you on our show today. It is a pre-recording. She couldn't make it in the studio, but we were grateful to be invited to her place and overlooked the pond and did the interview there. It was a very beautiful day. So yeah, here it is.
Welcome, Layla. I'm a huge fan of your singing voice, and I'm inspired by your courage to walk and talk the hard stuff. The first question that we have for you is intentionally open-ended because I wanted you to feel free to define yourself, especially at this point in your own healing journey, without any pressure to fit into a particular box. So, who is Layla Staats?
Ooh, we're getting right into it here today. Who is Layla Staats? So, I mean, even just like thinking about who I thought I was 5 years ago, I feel like I am just completely different, completely changed, but actually the same, because who I was meant to be was always there. It was just kind of clouded with all of this doubt and fear, growing up in a city, being a generational survivor of residential schools. My family really had this mentality that being Native was a bad thing, and it was going to be work against me in my career, in my life. And my papa always said, don't let them know. Don't put your last name on your resume, like things like that. So yeah, it was interesting because I grew up in town and I was like, well, I don't fit in with the natives because I don't know anything, and I don't feel like I am native enough to even go out there, and I'm getting bullied and I look different and I am different in town. And so I was like, I always remember this, like just never feeling like, where is my home? Where do I belong? And so coming back, I moved back out here to my papa's land and built a house and brought my kids back out here. And, it's just like, it feels like this journey of the water, and you can see like his ponds. I showed you guys the ponds that he created. He was always like, even though he was afraid to be Mohawk and like he didn't know what that meant, he was like so obsessed with the water. He would walk around these ponds like at 5 a.m. every day, check all the land, and he used to say to me, like, Layla, figure out a way to like protect the water. He's like, get into water. He wanted me to be a marine biologist or something and study the water. So I'm doing it a little differently than he thought I would, but still on that path. And so who am I today? I'm still discovering who I am. I know that I am strong, and I know that I have a purpose, and like that feeling of knowing is just what fuels me when I don't really know who I am all the time. When you question who you are, it's like, maybe you don't know who you are, but you're meant to be here, and you're meant to do something. And so just keep like one step forward. But I'm Mohawk, Turtle Clan. Actually, I'll introduce myself. Sego, Skanagoaga, Layla Staats Yongyas, Noara Niwagi, Taroden, Kanyake Haga, Nimago, Wintroden, Oswego Nidawageno. And even introducing myself in Kanyake Haga, like it was just like something that I always wanted to do, but it wasn't passed down to me from my grandma. My mom didn't teach me. I didn't learn it in school. I didn't know anything about what it meant to be Mohawk. So I had to decide to take this journey for myself. And nobody's going to, guide me by the hand. Nobody's going to make me go to Longhouse. Nobody's going to make me study the language. I have to do it because because that's what I want. That's who I want to be. And the things that I know, like there's like this ancestral wisdom and knowledge in me that's just like I remember I heard the Thanksgiving address my very first time I'd ever heard it at a conference, and I was like, what is that? Something in me knows. Like I was just like, you you gotta figure that out. So like, and it was the scariest thing ever, sitting at that table, asking this Native woman what that is, you know, like, because I was like, she's gonna laugh at me, I'm supposed to know this, they're gonna judge me, you know, but it was like, I'm so afraid to like just ask that woman what it is, but everything inside of me is telling me that I need to know. And so I just like was like, feel the fear, do it anyways. And I was like, why is he saying that? What is he saying at the front? She kind of looked at me like, why don't you know? But she said it was the Thanksgiving address. And so that, just knowing that, just kind of sent me down this path of studying it. And that's really where I started. We'll just take a second.
Yeah.
The house that is being built before our very eyes.
Yeah, it burned. Yeah, and I mean, like, it literally burned down before my eyes in June. So that was a huge lesson too. It's like losing everything, losing all your stuff, and having to like find your home within yourself. It's been. I'm grateful though, you know.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I'm glad I did leave that question really open-ended, because I can already hear that it's about a journey for you, and a journey to really remember who you truly are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like finding yourself. It's like unpacking yourself. You know, because it's been in there.
Yeah.
You've been in there, but you just didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, A Womb with a View is an emerging grassroots cultural relevant crisis response and alternative. Our vision is rooted in our living experience with mental health and justice system. Our aim is to lessen the harm it does to Indigenous people. So, can you talk about what you refer to one of your films as that dark spot inside you, and what brought about healing for you?
Well, I think my, that generational trauma, it really surfaced, and I really could see it when I became a mom. And, just not being able to have that expression, that love, that connection, and feeling anger inside of me, really like getting, blowing up and yelling and just, kind of being an angry mom. And it was funny because I remember being a kid and I'm like, why is my mom always so angry? Why can't she just ask me to clean my room nicely? Why has she got to be angry about it? And so then I was like, whoa, Layla, you're being angry. Why are you being angry? Just ask them nicely, Yeah. So I was like, okay. And then I took a job at with the cultural center. Hush, hush, it's okay. I know, they're weird guys. Okay.
Our little mascot is with us again today, Cedar.
Yeah.
Thank you for protecting us. Thank you for protecting us.
Good girl.
Thank you. I took a job at with the cultural center for social media and marketing, and I ended up being the one that had to do the survivor interviews for the Survivor series. And I had to do the virtual tours of the Mohawk Institute. So I had never learned about residential schools in school. My family never talked about it. I didn't even know that my great-grandmother went. And so I was learning all this stuff at the same time as, Canada. As Canada was learning, I was learning. I'm like, oh my gosh, that happened to my family. And I remember it was Geronimo Henry. I was interviewing him, and he went to the school for 11 years. So when he was 5 until he was 16, and he never left. He never went home for summers or Christmas, or nobody picked him up. He was there 365 days a year. And he said, Layla, of all the traumas, of all the terrible things I saw, and that happened to me. Hey, come here. Of all the traumas, of all the terrible things that I saw and that happened to me, the worst thing that I remember most is that no one ever said, I love you. I never heard it once in my childhood. And that was just like a explosion. Like, it was like this aha moment, like this like just light bulb that went off inside me. And I'm like, that's the same with my mom. You know, that's my family. Like, Geronimo never learned how to love. He never learned how to be loved or show love or how a parent loves, or, you know, and that trend was passed down. And I was like, it's not my mom's fault. It's not my papa's fault. It's not anything wrong with me. You know, I didn't do, because I used to think, like, why do my other friends' moms, like, they're so sweet and kind and call them honey and sweetheart, and my mom's just like kind of, but like, she would fight to the death for me. You know, when I was being bullied in school, she was like right there, like defending me. But you know, stroking your hair and singing you to sleep, just what didn't happen in my family. And then I was like, okay, I'm getting this. I'm understanding that this is something that was learned. This was something that happened to us, but I have this power to change it. And so, you know, every single night I sing songs to my kids, and I stroke their hair and I kiss them, and when I do have moments, I apologize. And like that, like I was like, I could never imagine, you know, my mother apologizing to me. Like, it wouldn't happen. You know, it's not in her character. And then, you know, I'm like, no, like you did not need to yell at them. You did not need to act like that. You did not need to, you know, shout. And so I'm just like, you know what? I'm sorry. Mommy was frustrated. I shouldn't have done that. We're going to handle it better. And I think just those little moments of them seeing me, that I'm not perfect, but I realize that, and like I'm willing to own it and work on it. Like they you know, I don't know. It's like they get it. And yeah, so the healing, that part, it always has happened. You know, I filmed this recent documentary, Boil Alert, and I went to Indigenous communities all over Turtle Island, from, you know, Navajo to Wet'suwet'en and up in Grassy Narrows, and like it just, every single place was like a deeper understanding, a deeper connection to life around me, to the struggles of our people and the injustice of colonization, like the impacts that are still so prevalent, like Niskandiga. This community, like I say that right now, and people are like, what? Like, what's that? Nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows where it is. It's the longest boil water advisory in Canada ever. 28 years now. And nobody's ever heard of it. And their chief just issued a state of emergency. And it's not because of their water. It's because of their youth suicide. They're in, like, epidemic numbers. And I just got a call from Grassy Narrows. They're like, we lost 2 this summer already. And I'm just like we got to do something. And that was really what I saw. And all of that process, I feel like it has been part of the journey, has been part of me. Really, like, I didn't grow up on the res, but now I truly have an understanding. I've seen it. Like, I didn't stay there and do the film and then go to a hotel at night. I stayed on the res. I stayed in one of their houses in the community. I didn't shower because I was afraid of their water. You know, like, that was really eye-opening, and it gave me a new perspective on you know, why we gotta fight, why we gotta stand up, and we gotta speak out, and not go silently into the night.
For sure.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're going to talk about feelings for a moment. How do you, as a warrior and protector of the healing waters, meet fear, grief, and anger?
Yeah, I remember a moment when we were standing on that bridge, and you knew that the cops were coming. You know, you see these buses of RCMP. There was like 100 of them in formation, and there was a lot of fear. I've never got in trouble with the law. Like, I don't even like to go to the principal's office or anything. Like, I was like really like a good kid, like brown noser, teacher's pet. Like, I would never talk back. I would never, give my parents any trouble or grief. Like, I was just perfect, straight A's. And so standing there, I was like, these people, like, they don't know that I'm a good person. And I especially felt like that with the dogs. They had these attack dogs that were like snarling and barking and pulling at their chains. And I was just like, if that guy lets go, like, that dog's coming right for my face. And it doesn't know that I work with kids. It doesn't know that, I I work with the community, and the good things that I do, it just follows orders.
Yeah.
Just like those cops, they just follow orders. And so, I realized, Layla, you're going to be in trouble. There's going to be consequences for you standing here if you do not move. Like, they're telling you, you have to get off this property, you're going to be arrested. And, I thought about my kids, obviously, that were back at home. Like, what are they going to think? Trying to put their head around, like, my mom's been arrested. Their teachers, I thought about their teachers, like, just, there's that mom that got arrested, and that we saw on the news. And then I was, it's just like, I remember, like, I drank from that river, the Wenzikla, and I've never drank from a river, like, just putting your hands in and putting it to your mouth, and it was like electricity, like, it was like charged, like, it felt like lightning going in my body. I was like, whoa, this water is like, it's alive. It's holding energy. It feels me. It's like in me. It's got memory and like I felt like I was like, this is why we have to protect it, because most of us will never drink water like that ever. Yeah. And our kids, So in that moment, you're looking fear in the face. You're looking down the barrel of a gun at Canadian law that you have to stand up against, and it's like literally shaking. But it's scarier to think about my kids, still having to fight this fight, still fighting for waters, still fighting for acknowledgement and land and like all of it, like even just the climate crisis that we're in itself, not to put any indigenous issues or generational trauma or racism, but just the fact that this planet, the water, we need it. And it's a scary thing to think that my kids are going to live in a world where water is, worth the same as gold. And that was what my pop always said. He's like, it's one day, Layla, watch out. And, I just, it was like that's scarier to me than this law coming at me. And it was just like, I remember asking myself, like, whose laws do you live by, Layla? Whose laws are in your heart, in your soul? What do you feel right now? And like, like I felt it. I'm like, no, there is a greater law than that one with the gun. And yeah, so I was arrested. And, all these, just like, fear is like something that we often think like makes us weak. And I used to think that, like, don't be afraid, don't show fear, don't be weak. And he's up in there. My baby's in there playing a drum. He was napping, but there was a drum right beside him. So that's my wake up. I'm like, oh, he's awake. He's playing the drum. He loves the drum and a rattle. Yeah, he'll be fine. He's occupied. He's not crying. But yeah, so now I kind of see fear. I've changed it. I flipped what it means to me in my head, and it's like, if I'm going to be afraid, I know I'm going to grow. I know I'm going to get up stronger. I'm going to be braver. I'm going to be better if I take on this fear, rather than running from it, rather than trying to eliminate it or pretend it's not there. Just like step in it. Like, yes, I am freaking afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that was kind of how I felt about that fashion show I did last week. Yeah. It was like totally not my forte. And like, I've always been like a strong, bigger built girl, not your typical model. Yeah. And someone said to me, they're like, your legs coming down that runway, like they don't look like model legs, like they're muscles like a calves that most men would dream of. And like, it was just like, I was like, okay, yes, I'm doubting myself. Yes, I'm comparing myself to everyone else, and I feel insecure, but I'm going to do it. And I'm just going to push through it, and I know that when I come out on the other side, I'm going to be stronger. The anger thing is hard, because I feel like when we're angry, it's really hard to get stuff done. And it's really hard to impact people. It's hard to make a change. The anger part, I feel, is a little harder. And the thing about when you're angry, I feel like we can't take as much action. Like, it almost holds us paralyzed because we're unable to see things clearly. Because you got that anger and you're so focused, and you're not able to kind of pull back and get that perspective. Yeah. And also, what I found is, I've seen a lot of our are speakers and activists, and you know, you go up on a microphone and there's a lot of anger, and I understand the anger. Like they're valid. You have every right to be angry. But on the flip side, what I have noticed and I have seen proof of is that people, it's harder for them to take in anger, you know, as far as people in the audience, people in the crowd. You know, people can get they feel shame. They're, you know, they just, I find like when I lead with love and I focus on the love that I have and I focus on the love that I've found from this journey, the connection, when I focus on the incredible, amazing gifts of the Indigenous identity, rather than the trauma, rather than being angry about what happened to us, really highlighting and lifting up the teachings that were taken and that I've claimed back, that's when I feel like, you know, people can get it. You know, like I work a lot with teachers, so I've done so many like keynotes and workshops with teachers unions, and I find like that's been one thing is like they're very receptive because it's a lot less. It's a lot easier to feel like you're teaching kids things that they can, you know, that inspire them, that can, you know, give them a positive outlook on, you know, who Indigenous people are. And so, yeah, that's definitely been one way that I have channeled the anger or flipped the switch on the anger is like, you know, just really, rather than focusing on the terrible things that happen to us, is really trying to bring back the, you know, things like the Thanksgiving address, like gratitude, like, the Ojeda Garuadegua, when it's said in Longhouse, it can be like 2 hours to acknowledge all those elements of life and give gratitude and thanks. And, you know, like, when's the last time most of us have spent even 5 minutes just sitting in gratitude, just sitting in your connection and really putting out your thankfulness and your love and appreciation for the grass, the wind, the trees, like, we don't have time, you know. So that simple flipping of, you know, getting people to take 5 minutes a day and just build that relationship, to getting these kids to sing to the water, you know, teaching them the water song, and I'm like, the water hears you, you know, and they're like, oh, Miss Staats, we said hi to the river when we drove past, and we got our parents to say hi, and you know, it's a living force to them now, and as they grow up, you know, these were things that were never taught to me. And, you know, I think that could be the basis of change. That's what gives me hope, is all the work that I do with the youth is, you know, like seeing them truly build a relationship with a tree. You know, that tree knows me. Like, I go back to that tree all the time and I tell it, you know, I tell it jokes and, like, it's just, I'm like, this can change the world. You know, and it doesn't have to be angry. It doesn't have to be fight all the time, because the fight is so hard, and it can take a real toll. I've seen a lot of land defenders, a lot of water protectors that, you know, it's not easy, and the aftermath of picking up the pieces after experience like that is hard. So yeah, remembering our roots, remembering where we came from, and those teachings, that's what's going to get us through.
Yeah, I think you know, when we don't see everything around us as living and full of life, it's so much easier to express our anger in destructive ways. And so, you know, when I was listening to you, that's what I was seeing, is just, you know, like even transforming the way we look at that emotion, because it is just that, it's an emotion. And you're right, we need to feel that sometimes because of the things that are going on around us, but it's what we do with it, right? And no more destruction, you know, instead, maybe start with gratitude and having it channeled in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, like, even like, for example, like, you know, you get haters, and sometimes, you know, the Indigenous community can be the hardest one on themselves, and you know, it's like nobody beats up the natives like the natives. And so I've had a lot of like pushback sometimes from, you know, this off reserve girl coming in here and you know, learning our stuff and you know, like, whatever they want to say. There's been so many things, but that's what, like, you have to be able to, rather than like be mad at these people and like hate them and want to like reply and like shut them down on Facebook or whatever. Like, it's just like, you got to understand, our people have been hurt, and our people have been through, centuries of trauma, and the lateral violence, whatever happens in our community, that is a product of that, and so just lashing out and retaliating and you get dishing it back, that is not the way. The way is like being able to see, okay, they are broken. They do not mean these things they say about me. It's just their own struggles, their own battles of, seeing someone find themselves, seeing someone empower themselves, seeing someone, help and make a difference and succeed. And so yes, these things I have to remind myself, and sometimes it's not always easy. It takes me maybe a couple days to get there. But yeah, it's
but you get there, and that's the difference. And it's like that lateral kindness as opposed to the lateral violence,
right.
and just pausing a little bit, having that understanding, and moving yourself and others forward. The other thing that you said there about the fear really got to me too, because I think that's something that we really want to do with the Womb with a View, is because a lot of times it's that fear that underlies the anger, which is expressed as aggression, right? And you said sometimes they don't see who you are and know who you are and the really good stuff that's inside, and they just follow orders.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the people, including Two White Feather himself, that's what was at the root of it for them, right? The police response, the crisis response that they got was police, and it was just about following orders and trying to de-escalate a situation in the way that they were trained. And it's poor training, because it doesn't, that's not how you deal with anybody that's in crisis, especially if you understand what brought them there.
Yeah, interesting. I actually had the Halton police reach out to me to come in and do a film screening and a talk with them, which I was like, oh, okay. Interesting feelings towards that, but again, I'm like, okay, Layla, your anger towards the police, you have to, it's not going to change anything, it's not going to make anything better. So you know how to build bridges, you know how to make them understand, you know how to make them see in a way that is not angry, that they can develop empathy and understanding. So yeah, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it anyways.
I'm going to do it anyways. Even though it might make me angry or scared. Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because, and you're, this theme of like the womb.
Yeah.
I had all my kids naturally at home, and I did a lot of studying on the impacts of fear when we are pregnant and when we deliver. And so, the fear creates tension in our body, which actually amplifies pain. So it's like this cycle. So when you're afraid, and you're, even the things that like we call it labor, it's hard. It's a medical emergency. You're rushed to the hospital, and like there's so much fear based. Even that book, What to Expect When You're Inspecting, every single day is something to be afraid of. I'm like, oh my god, I threw the book out the window. I'm like, I'm trying to reprogram my brain to understand that whatever is happening is meant to happen. My body can do this, and yeah, so that really was like huge, and that was before any of this. It was just like something I was like, I really wanted to have. I did not want to be in a hospital to have my kids. I did not want them to. That's the first thing they see is doctors and surgery lights and sterile walls. Like, no, I want to be home. This is not a medical emergency. This is a normal life emergency. Like, it's like a normal life thing. Like, it's this. So yeah, that kind of like set the stage. Is like, I know fear can help me, and I know that I can get through it, and I don't have to let it tense me up and paralyze me. And yeah.
Good stuff. You. So 2 of your films focus on water and how we're not respecting it or caring for it across Turtle Island. We did play Blood and Water during the show in April, but for our listeners today, we wanted you to speak just a little bit about the importance of water and your connection to it.
Well, for me, like I said, my papa had always told, like, we were on this pond all the time, fishing and canoeing and catching, tadpoles and like I was always near the water, and I always felt that connection, but I never understood why. I never understood, what it was, and so for me now, especially as I've been on this journey, because there was a lot of times when I doubted myself, even going and filming Boil Alert. It was like, am I native enough to like even be here and understand their issues and understand the problems, and and I would just go to the water, and I feel like when I am with the water, there is no measurement. It's not measuring me. It's not judging me. It's not saying, well, you don't have your Indian name, so you're not native enough to, can have a relationship with the water. No, everyone can have a relationship with the water. It accepts all of us, and I feel like that was like, I would always go there, and I would just feel like it knows me, it's like this trusted friend that welcomes me. And it wants us. It wants us to come back. Like the water wants us to know it and connect with it again. And it doesn't care how native you are. It doesn't care if you are native or not. And so that was just like one of those places where water has definitely been a friend, a medicine, and just a warm hug. Sometimes I feel like it can be.
Okay. Storytelling and music are healing agents that Two White Feather and I definitely resonate with. In your second film, Boil Alert, you share many stories behind the struggle of First Nation reserves in Canada and the U.S. To receive clean and safe water to drink. So why is it important to tell these stories? And was there a particular story that touched your heart, and why?
Well, I feel like Boil Alert is it's a film that every Canadian should see, and once you see it, you just can't unsee it. It's not like a normal documentary where you get facts. Anybody can find the facts. You can Google all the facts and see all the boil water advisories, but when you truly feel the lives that are impacted, and those stories, sitting at their kitchen tables, being in their communities, having breakfast with them every morning, like these are things you just it changes your responsibility when you truly have an emotional connection. That's why I feel like Boil Alert is so special, because it gives you the facts. You realize I didn't know that there was boiled water advisory. I didn't know that. People come up to me all the time. I didn't know any of this. But the difference is that it reaches into your heart with those stories. Like you truly feel like you know the people, and when you have that heart involved, you will actually do something. If you just watch a documentary and you get the facts, you're most likely not going to do something. But if your heart is on fire, it's like I can't not do something. And that's kind of how I felt with all the stories. It's like I have this responsibility. That's why, like every film screening, I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to be there. I want to share these stories. I want to really hammer them home. Especially the story with Nora. Nora was 16 when we filmed her, and she's from Grassy Narrows. In Grassy Narrows, 100% of their community was poisoned by mercury. And what happens with mercury poisoning is that when the baby is in the womb, they actually get a higher concentration of mercury to their brain. So these children that are being born with their parents being exposed to mercury are having even more severe effects. And, I got a call from Grassy Narrows that they had already lost 2 kids this summer. And so Nora's interview in the film, it was one of my favorites, because she was talking about all these issues. Her 11-year-old sister had committed suicide. She was talking about these headaches that she felt like she was going to die. But even with all that, at the very end, she's like, I love Grassy Narrows, and I will always be grateful to be from here, and it will always be my home. And it just shows that relationship that we have to the land. Like, it's not just somewhere you can move away from and go get water in town or whatever. Like, it's part of us. That land is part of us. And so it was two weeks before we premiered at TIFF that her mom called me that she had committed suicide and we had lost her. And it was just like this feeling of failure. Like, it was just like, we couldn't save her. Like, how can we even put this movie out? Like, how can we put her face in this movie when we failed? And, you know, I was like, cancel it all. I was just at this really low place, feeling like nothing that we did mattered, and that entire journey didn't matter because we lost Nora. And, you know, you have those moments, I call them, well, maybe I can't say this. Can I swear on here? I don't know.
Yeah. Sure you can.
Yeah.
I call it the bitch slap. And it's my mental bitch slap that I do when I know that I gotta get up. And I think I was actually on a bathroom floor. Like, I was like, no, Layla. And I just like bitch slapped myself across the face, and I'm like, no, you cannot lay here, you cannot give up. You owe it to her, you know. You have to tell her story. Now you have to get this movie out. You have to tell these stories because they need to know. They need to know her. And so it's so funny. The rain is coming. Here comes the rain, the water. So yeah, it was really hard to go through that. But it was also, you know, it's lit a fire in me that, you know, there is no stopping me. They will not stop. Like, they're cops or politicians or haters or whatever, you know, like, it's just, I can't. And so I'm grateful that I met Nora and that I got to hear her story and like carry her with me. Because, you know, everything I do, you know, every time I speak, every time I sing, I feel like it's for them. It's for these kids that feel like they don't exist. Like, you know, interviewing them, it was like, nobody's coming to save us. Nobody cares. Nobody even knows that we're here. And like thinking about those kids growing up, feeling like they don't exist in a first world country where, you know, our original people should be celebrated and honored, and yet our kids are killing themselves. And so yeah, it's that, I think that that moment in the film really reaches in people's hearts, and you cannot ignore it. You cannot deny it, and it you know, it makes people uncomfortable oftentimes. Like when they watch, spoiler alert, there is an uncomfortable feeling when you realize that Nora is no longer with us. And I'm like, good. You know, we need to get uncomfortable. You know, there's issues that are going on where we need to feel stuff, and we need to feel that in order to do stuff different. And yeah, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, and so it should make you feel uncomfortable, and that's what a lot of activism is all about, I think, right, is getting uncomfortable and feeling where it connects with you and doing something about it. And hopefully, you know, when they watch the film or, you know, when our listeners connect in other ways to issues impacting First Nations, that they're going to be moved to do something.
And a lot of people have asked me where you can watch the film.
Yeah.
So we are working on distribution, but if you find me on Instagram and you send me a little secret message, then I might have a hookup for you. Shh.
Okay, a secret message.
Yeah, secret message.
No, I know that one of the things that's at least fueled my commitment with regard to Woman with a View was witnessing what Two White Feather went through, again in a crisis intervention gone really wrong, and also with his cousin as well, who's no longer with us because of it. He died at the hands of police during a crisis intervention. But I know I worked with a woman, a federally sentenced woman at Grand Valley Institution for Women, and you know, it was her story that touched me, that also fueled this fight. And you're right, there is no going back. Once you connect with it emotionally in some way, and you know, whether it's a loved one or a friend or someone you're helping. Doesn't matter, right? That relationship is there, and that pull is there to do something different. So again, thank you.
That was Layla Staats on Six Nations. We were able to, like I said, go out to her property and overlook over one of the 3 ponds that she has on her property, of her family's property. And it was very nice of her to let us come back out at some point to come swim in the pond, some chill out, maybe have a fire, whatever, So, yeah. So, we have a few songs. We have about 15 minutes left. I think we could play about 2 or 3 songs here. The first song is by her brother, Logan Staats. It's 6 Miles. So here it is.
Our people will not be defined by our traumas. The connection that we have to these lands and waters, and of course to each other, is far greater than anything that they can do to us. They've tried to beat it out of us. They've tried to over-incarcerate us, residential school it out of us. But it remains. Land back is an invitation to those that have been lost, all the brothers and sisters that have been stolen from our nations. And there are many that we are calling home. For us, we've been fighting for land back since contact. Our fight here in Six Nations has been about our 6 miles on each side of that Grand River. And now, that 6 miles, well, that was just the beginning.
Amazing stuff. So that was Layla Staats' brother, Logan Staats, 6 Miles, a land defender in his own right, amazing musician, amazing brother, uncle, list goes on there in that family as well. And at the beginning of that was Skylar Williams, another pretty incredible person, land defender, and also Layla's partner at this point. So thank you to all 3 of you for the amazing, amazing work you do in community and the activism and all the education.
To our land defenders, hook ya! So our next song is by Layla Staats herself. Woo! Woohoo! It's White Pine, so here it is.
An introduction. The Haudenosaunee call the white pine the tree of peace. The peacemaker's journey tells the story of how our nations came together and buried their hatchets, buried their weapons underneath the roots of the white pine. I took this song with me to the Wet'suwet'en territory to defend the Wenziqua, their sacred headwaters. I remember that moment standing on that bridge with matriarchs and elders and land defenders and chiefs and watching as hundreds of police mobilized against us coming up to the bridge. There was military greens across the side with sniper rifles, attack dogs pulling at their chains, helicopters overhead. And as I watched this wall of violence coming towards us, something inside of me said, Layla, sing. And a cappella on my own on this broken bridge, I sang for a wall of police. I sang, even if no one listened, I sang. White pine, I come in peace. White pine, down on my knees.
Megwitch, and Naiwen to Layla Staats. That was White Pine. And thanks again, Layla, for having us out to your place, the ponds, your papa's ponds, amazing. Just re-listening to this today, it's so timely, all of this for us. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And get out there, feel the fear, everybody. Do it anyways. And, channel that anger into something that's going to make a better world for all of us. Especially, take note of this weekend. Let's wear orange for Canada Day. If you're going to be wearing red, wear it. About the murdered and missing Indigenous women, girls, two-spirited folks.
Yeah, so before we go, we got one last song before we head out. It's one of the songs that Layla picked out too, by Derek Miller, Indian Cars.